The introduction of the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 has sparked a nationwide campaign among the Muslim community. A group is outrightly rejecting the bill, and then there are those who are seeking amendments in the existing bill. Today, I have with me former bureaucrat Syed Akhtar Mehmood to discuss how this campaign could be made meaningful for all of us. Welcome to The Matrix. The campaign opposing provisions of the Waqf Bill in its existing form has been peaceful. Opposition party leaders also actively advocated to protect interests of the Muslim community. The community leaders and members are mailing the suggestions to the Joint Parliamentary Committee. But some anti-national elements are trying to hijack the people's peaceful movement for their vested interests. Former bureaucrat Syed Akhtar Mehmood was instrumental in drafting 2013 Waqf Bill. He joins me for a discussion now. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome to The Matrix.
Walaikum assalam.
I start by asking you that Waqf Bill in its existing form is unacceptable to the community leaders. But should that be an excuse of defending the rampant corruption and mismanagement of the Waqf management system? What do you have to say?
Well, thank you, Athar Saab. The point here is, Waqf has been in practice since ages. There is a historical perspective to it, there is a divine angle to it, religious angle to it. There is also an angle which pertains to legislation, administration of the Waqf properties, and judicial remedies. Now, those three aspects, besides the divine and religious one, from time to time require a go-to by the government and by the Waqf boards, Central Waqf Council, in order to ascertain that whatever the Waqf Act or the earlier amendments intended, have they been carried out to the satisfaction of the Act. The point here is, amendments have been going on. This is not the first time the amendment is being done. We carried out amendments in 1984, which was partially accepted and greatly not. We carried out amendments again in 1995 and 2013 after the Waqf Act came into being. Those amendments were necessitated in the background of the situation prevailing in the Waqf properties. So, if an amendment is carried out in that perspective, I think it is always welcome. I don't have any brief against it. The point is, the community and the stakeholders should be taken into consideration. Consultative machinery has to be constituted, and affirmative action has to be guaranteed and ascertained. If we are able to give these things to the community, taking away their doubts and making them come on the table and making them understand that there are certain drawbacks and lacunas, major ones also, on part of the Waqf boards, like corruption, encroachment of Waqf properties, sale of Waqf properties, lack of audit, lack of transparency. I think they require a redressal. The point is, whatever I have seen with the community so far, I have been interacting with them time and again on various platforms. The community feels that this is our private act and let us handle it. The government need not interfere, so we have to dispel that notion.
Sir, you have extensively looked into this issue and you've done in-depth studies while you were drafting 2013 bill. Now, can you tell us how important are amendments for the improvement of the Waqf management system as of today?
Well, amendments are important. But at the very first instance, at the outset, let me make one thing very clear. I will get into it. Amendments are welcome and amendments are necessary. Much more important is the implementation of those amendments. How far have they been implemented? India is a vast country. All states and union territories have Waqf properties. It's often said that after defense and railways, Waqf is the third biggest property holder as on date, lands, which may be correct. The point is, time and again, in 2013 when we drafted it, earlier also, we sat together with the stakeholders. Stakeholders mean the Waqf Council was the main body through which we operated. Central Waqf Council requires sufficient amounts of strengthening, because that is the only mechanism through which the ministry, concerned ministry, in this case the Ministry of Minority Affairs, communicates with the state Waqf boards. So until and unless it is equipped with people who know law, who are made to understand that the laws of the land are supreme, so is the Waqf Act, and made to understand that there may be diverse structures throughout the country in Waqfs, but there has to be some nodal points where they have to take the instructions of the Waqf Council in a very serious manner. This cannot be done.
Yes, sir. So the Muslim community is concerned and largely opposing the bill in its existing form. Clearly, there are two camps. One which believes in outright rejecting the bill, and then there are those who are seeking a meaningful engagement for improvement in the bill. Which option would you suggest?
Look here, I don't want to either say that there is a group which is totally opposing and there is a group which is trying to make suitable amendments, because I have been an ex-bureaucrat who knows what amendment means, since I have drafted them. Right. And I feel privileged that I have been brought upon to speak on that. Certain amendments have been carried out and certain amendments have not been carried out. I started that Central Waqf Council has to be strengthened suitably, and I stick to it. Central Waqf Council has to be totally contributing to the concern of the Waqf. And Waqf means Muslims. I am not denying the fact. CEO has to be a Muslim, because a CEO who is not a Muslim will not be able to understand the intricacies of Waqf. It has to be. But the CEO has to be of a sufficient level. We had ensured in our amendment that he should be a minimum deputy secretary to the government of state. Now they have said it, he should be a level of a joint secretary government of state. Now there are two views about it. I am being very candid. One view is that there will not be found a single Muslim candidate, or maybe not more than 2 or 3, who will be of that level, joint secretary. I hold a contrary view. That we have not said that he should be a joint secretary to the state government. We have said he should be of the rank of a joint secretary. It can be a chartered accountant who has sufficient knowledge and confidence in himself, who has sufficient experience. He can be a university professor who has written articles and knows Waqf. So there is no harm in accepting the fact that a joint secretary level officer is to be made the CEO. Only thing is, my take on this, he should be a Muslim.
Okay. And there are 3 levels, basically, 3 or 4 levels which need to be addressed to tackle the issue. One is the religious or divine, as you say. The second one is legislative, administrative, and then, of course, the judicial. How can we address all these levels?
Well, a very interesting question. When we drafted the 2013 bill, we kept in mind that since Waqf is a pious institution, very dear to the Muslim heart, we must not interfere or dislodge any such thing which causes concern in the community on that aspect. We kept Waqf al-Aulad, we kept Waqf by practice, we kept the denouement of the properties to the Waqf. Now, while we kept it, we also said with a rider that Waqf al-Aulad has to be properly documented, because many a time it is simply verbal and it goes in the family. Fine. But the Waqf board and the CEO of the Waqf board must keep a track of it and must put it before with full records before the Waqf board, who will communicate it to the Waqf Council time and again. Second thing which we had said is a Waqif who is giving the Waqf properties for a particular charitable cause has to be taken on record. It may be a verbal commitment, it may be a written commitment. Everything has to be the responsibility of the CEO and the Waqf board and the survey commissioner. The survey commissioner was very important, because we have deliberately kept it that he will keep a record of the Waqf properties and submit it to the Waqf board for being made a part of the land revenue records at the level of the Deputy Commissioner, marked as Waqf properties in clear-cut language. We cannot say, because allow me to say this, there is an apprehension going on that any property which the community wants to take as Waqf can be taken as Waqf. I'm sorry, that's not the fact. The fact is, a legal process has to be followed. A Waqf has to be there. The purpose has to be delineated very clearly for which charitable purpose it is being given, and the physical contours of the property have to be clearly brought out. This is the thing. The survey commissioner has to accept it. This CEO of the Waqf board has to inform the board, and the board will inform the council, Waqf council in its own capacity, as well as inform the land records officer, the district magistrate, that these are all Waqf properties properly documented and properly recorded in the office files.
Right. Sir, after the dissent over the passage of the bill in the parliament, it was sent to Joint Parliamentary Committee. JPC, which is headed by Mr. Jagdambika Pal, has got an overwhelming response from the people, from basically the Muslim community. What does this tell us?
I'm not privy to what exactly that information has been passed on, because I have not been a part of it, and I have not corresponded to him on any
Have
manner.
you not been invited for your recommendations?
I have been called by various platforms through different community leaders and through different social circuits, and I have given my views also. But my views are limited to that why did we go for such an amendment in 2013? And my view still is that the JPC has a very prominent role to play when we talk about amendments. I have dealt with the JPC in my capacity as Director Waqf during 2008, 9 and 10. The JPC was formed long back, maybe in the early 20s or late 90s, I forget the exact date. But I had occasion to visit, if not more, at least 18 states throughout the country, along with the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which consisted of not only Muslim members, lot of non-Muslim members were there who have contributed largely to the issue and who have shown us ways, especially in Maharashtra, in Bihar, in Gujarat and in Karnataka. They have been able to understand the intricacies of Waqf. And they have been able to tell us, look, this is what you got to do in following the JPC. So I will definitely say that the present JPC can follow that.
No, of course, and your your recommendations or your inputs for the existing JPC could be quite invaluable. It could add to the value, and from your experiences, and like you said, that there were people from across the religion, and they helped make sense of how to improve the system. That is truly remarkable. Now, sir, one of the representations has also been from the Archaeological Survey of India to the existing JPC. ASI happens to be a major important stakeholder now, which has claimed that it has conflicting views with Waqf bodies in at least 15 cases, 15 properties. Was this issue also, did it surface when you were in the process of drafting 2013 bill, the conflict between the ASI and the Waqf bodies as far as the ownership and the maintenance and upkeep of those monuments or properties are concerned?
Yes, I distinctly remember when the JPC went to states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and maybe some more. South didn't have such a problem. I still stick to what I have said earlier, that the best administered Waqf board which we had seen in our days was the Kerala Waqf board, followed by Karnataka, followed by Chennai, and then by Andhra Pradesh. I stick to what I have said earlier, and I still stick to what I'm saying today. The point was that whenever any issue, the JPC has got a lot of stakeholders. And the JPC is supposed to take all the views into consideration. I know it because I was the person who was organizing such meetings in all the states where the JPC went. I had specific instructions from the chairman of the JPC what to do and what not to do.
Right.
So I have got first-hand experience, which I am privileged to have. There we have the Archaeological Survey of India. They had some issues, like in some Waqf properties in Lucknow, I don't want to name them, or in some properties in Karnataka, but they came to our meetings, they sat together in our administrative meetings, in our broad social meetings, And finally, the whatever the issues were, they were settled amicably between the JPC and the ASI.
Right. So, sir, what outcome can we expect from the proceedings in the existing JPC? What can we expect will happen after the deliberations take place? The 13th is the last date, and thereafter, the JPC will be giving its recommendation, and perhaps this bill will be brought up in the winter session again. So, what can we expect?
I would say, with my experience in the earlier JPC, on the basis of which the amendments were carried out by the Ministry of Minority Affairs, and not only carried out, they were accepted. They were discerned in the Law Ministry at the secretary's level, and then in the Parliament also they were scrutinized minutely. They stood the test. They did. So the reason was that we had taken all factors and all stakeholders in a consultative mechanism. We had never, when we went to a place, suppose the JPC went to a place in Bihar, and we countered some people who used to say that, okay, here is the property which has been encroached upon by the district police or department, or in West Bengal, Calcutta, by some societies and clubs. We were prudent enough, the JPC was prudent enough to call the stakeholders on board, ask them whether any proof of that, and we gathered the documents, put it to the JPC Secretariat, and they were kept on record. So what I will say, the JPC has this onerous responsibility, with my experience of the earlier JPC, that they have to take the stakeholders' consultative mechanism into consideration sharply, and they have to go by affirmative action. That alone will be able to dispel the doubts of the minority community in any manner, and that alone will serve the purpose of the JPC in trying to say that, okay, there are some recommendations which can be followed, like I said about the CEO of the level of a joint secretary. Another thing which I would like to point out here is that we had said that there will be a 3-member tribunal. We had said. Now the 3-member tribunal consisted of an administrative member, a judicial member, and the third member, we didn't say that, please don't take it otherwise, but that was law, that the third member has to be a Muslim. We said that the third person should be a person having sufficient knowledge of Islamic law and jurisprudence. I still stick to it. Maybe the present JPC can also examine it. Right. The present JPC can also examine whether the Waqf law will dominate over other laws, because it should be. Waqf laws has to be strengthened further, and a Waqf Property Act was also taken a part of the Waqf. I think the JPC has got a lot of works to do, but very interesting observations they can make, and they must take the stakeholders, all of them, including the community, dispel the fears and the insecurities, and then go ahead.
Which means they will have to travel extensively in between. Well, it's really a complex issue, because there are divine and religious issues which are involved, and then it has to be regulated by the act of the Parliament. Besides, we also have differences in various Sunni and Shia Waqf board. Then we have other other boards also for the Waqf, which have been there, I guess, from the princely states. Can you tell us more about these differences?
Yes, very pertinent question. Waqf is a concurrent, figures in the concurrent list. States also have the powers and the potential to make laws regarding Waqf properties. So does the center have through the Waqf Council, Central Waqf Council. The point is, states wherever the majority is of Shias, there is a Shia Waqf board, like in UP. There is a Sunni Waqf board. Then there are princely Waqf boards, as you rightly said. When we went to Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh, we realized that there is a princely Waqf board over there, and there is also a common Waqf board, which was governed by the elected and nominated members of the state government. We went to Hyderabad, there was this Nizam's Waqf board, which had its own properties. And they followed a system which was originally, because they were the Waqifs, so they followed the system of the Nizam. And then there was a common Waqf board which followed the system of the Waqf board. we tried, we in the JPC and we in the JPC along, I being the Minority Affairs Director, we tried to ensure that none of the stakeholders had some grievance left about. We tried to redress them before coming to a conclusion.
Right.
And I will expect from the present JPC to follow suit.
In your 2013 drafts, you had also made certain recommendations for the engagement and involvement of women in the Waqf management system. And in the existing draft also, that has been put quite effectively. So how can women be involved for better management of the system? Because that's what has been proposed even in your draft and in the existing draft.
Actually, there is a need for the JPC clarifying in very clear words that this was already a part of the 2013 amendments, first of all. Unless you do that, you will not be able to carry it forward. This is not a new amendment. This amendment has been there.
Right.
And why was this amendment there? Because we realized that there were issues pertaining to Muslim women, like widows' maintenance, single women bearing child, and single women taking care of the child, and other issues, plus orphans issues. So these issues required the immediate address of the women folk, and we thought it pertinent to ensure that at least 2 women with proper education, proper representation should be there on the Waqf boards. It was there. It's not a new thing in the present amendment. It was already there. It should be clarified.
Right. One final question, sir. How can the Muslim community create a positive discourse so that the need for improvement in the Waqf system is acceptable to all the stakeholders?
First and foremost, presently, now with the constitution of the JPC, the ball is in the courts of the JPC and in the parliament. The community is feeling insecure. The community, and let me assure you, even in the 2013 amendments, the community felt insecure because we had put in a clause that, and I think if I remember correctly, under section 104 or something, A or whatever, that under no circumstances the Waqf property will be sold, auctioned, mortgaged or gifted. Let me assure you, we faced a lot of criticism for this, but we kept through. Law Ministry also agreed to us. So the community has to be assured that whatever amendments are being carried out are already there. The problem lies in the execution of the amendments, not in the amendments. Once they feel, the community feels that there is some execution there, which is, because there are a lot of cases otherwise also. There are cases of alleged corruption, which are very, very pertinent in certain Waqf boards.
Yes, of serious nature.
Of very serious nature, which require a proper scrutiny. We had known it, we had seen it. There are also cases of encroachments on Waqf properties by people who have nothing to do with Waqf. So those encroachments where we had entrusted the work to the DM through the CEO and the Waqf board, they have to be carried out. No amendment, fresh amendment is required. And then let me tell you one more thing. Waqf rules have to be finally delineated. Waqf rules are a part of the Act, and Waqf rules will be created, they will be by the state Waqf boards.
Okay.
So, let the JPC also say that in case there is any Waqf rule which has been there, let the JPC examine it. Let the JPC also examine whatever good work has been done in the last 10 years, if at all it has, and I think they have been done.
Right.
There have been cases where tribunals have been functioning. There have been cases which have been decided too. There have been cases, I am told, that the Central Waqf Council had taken good decisions. So let everything be brought on record on the table and be examined whether there was anything. And if there is a requirement to be very transparent in the working of the Waqf boards and the CEO's office and the Central Waqf Council, let that be done. First of all, the JPC must take all the stakeholders into confidence through a consultative machinery. If it has to travel to various states like we did in 2010, 11, 12, they must go and hear the grievances.
And it would be interesting to know how, like you said, the Waqf boards in South India like Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, they are doing a good job. So how is it that, the other regions are lagging behind? What is there in the systems which is creating this difference?
Basically, two things what we saw. In Kerala, it was the literacy which had topped the game. The CEO and the president of the Waqf boards whom we met were very learned people, company secretaries, chartered accountants. Everything was on the digital computers, digitalized, all information at the tip of a button. You could get all information which are Waqf properties. I am talking about 2012, mind you. By today, it must have been taken to greater heights.
Different level.
Yes, this has been lacking in certain states. I don't want to name them. I don't want to create a north-south divide. That's not my intention. My intention is to point out which are the best working Waqf boards from where the best practices can be adopted. Let the JPC take a call. Let the JPC go there and call the stakeholders. I am sure whatever I am talking today will be proved on the records.
Sir, you came to our studio for this discussion. Thank you very much for this. It is important to approach the issue with a degree of trust and open dialogue. The movement advocating for necessary amendments has, for the most part, been constructive. We must advocate for our rights, but through civil means. We must not allow the movement to be manipulated by external agendas. That's all we have in this episode. We'll be back with another interesting issue. Till then, goodbye from the Matrix team.